Okay, so Anthony Gutierrez joined Bionic in 2015. He has a bachelor's degree in mathematics education, a master's in biomechanics from the University of Wisconsin, and he's a graduate of the Feinberg School of Prosthetics at Northwestern. Tony is committed to providing patients with prosthetic services that improve their mobility, their limb health, and their return to independence. He specializes in elevated vacuum prosthetic sockets to stabilize the limb and to promote increased blood flow during prosthesis wear. In addition to his clinical practice, he's also involved with research on utilizing patient performance on functional tests to predict their activity level. He's presented his work at multiple national conferences and is currently collaborating with Rosalind Franklin University in North Chicago to explore this data further. We'd like to have you tell us a little more about that when you start talking, Tony. Okay. He lives in Crown Point. He enjoys spending time with his wife. He has 2 daughters and has other family members and friends. He likes to golf, to hunt, and to cook during his free time. So it's all yours, Tony. Take it away.
All right. Hi, everyone. Welcome to Bionic. We're excited to have all of you students on to learn about what we do on a daily basis and learn about our facilities. A bit about me: I've been practicing as a prosthetist for over 10 years. When I went through the program at Northwestern, it was very technically oriented. So I've always been heavily involved in the fabrication side of my practice, as well as our practice as a whole. A little history on Bionic. We've been in existence for coming up on 15 years. In that time, we've grown from a little local community orthotic and prosthetic shop here in Northwest Indiana to having a presence on an international level. We have 50 clinics across 15 states here in the United States, and then we have an additional 12 clinics in India as well. Some of the big points about Bionic is we've been some leaders in the industry in implementing advanced manufacturing and 3D printing along with a digital workflow into our practice. A little bit more of a tidbit about me, I'll touch on the research aspect. We're also involved in several research collaborations with local universities as well as faraway universities. And presently, we have 3 collaborations going on. We're looking at identifying strength characteristics of standard diagnostic sockets, 3D printed diagnostic sockets, as well as laminated carbon sockets, to just provide some good insight on how strong our sockets actually are. We're additionally partnered with Rosalind Franklin University and University of Michigan, studying adjustable above knee socket design across transfemoral amputee patients. That study's been going on for about 4.5 years. And we are getting ready to start a few other studies with those collaborating universities as well. So a lot of cool opportunities here for not only on the clinical and technical side, but also implementing really cool advanced technology and then applying it in a research realm. So I'm going to start off here and kind of give a tour of our lab. I'm going to show you guys some of the digital workflow that we utilize. But right now I'm going to pass it off to our digital technician, Zach. He's going to give you a little bit of his story and then show you how we take the process of a digital workflow from receiving a scan of a patient's limb towards designing and printing a prosthetic socket.
Okay, great.
I am the digital technician here at Bionic. I have actually been with the company for about 1 year and 8 months now. So I have no prior experience in the O&P industry.
Okay.
Just a eager ability to learn and get better and perfect at what I'm doing as well. So what I want to do is I'm gonna go and show you guys the scanning process, just the start of it, and then we'll come into a unmodified scan to modified scan to undesigned, and then a design socket, and I'll also show you the finished product as well. So I'm gonna go back over here. So right here we have a unmodified cast, which is pretty standard in the industry. From there, we'll then take our iPad. And we'll actually go ahead and give maybe minute long, 30 minutes or 30 second to a minute long scan around the cast. And then from there, we'll actually come out with a product like this. This will actually be sent to either my email or another technician's email for them to either modify or start the design right away. So. All right. Yeah. Step out, go into the.
It's okay. It's okay.
All right, so I'm gonna share my screen here. We're gonna start with screen 1, which right here is ideally a cleaned up scan of the unmodified cast. From there, we will actually mark our landmarks as normal. And then we'll go into our design tab for modifications, which from there we'll follow through our global circumferences, our patella tendon area, fib head, tibial crest, distal tib. Then we'll do our shelf and our trim line as well, which then will give us this outcome right here. I can take you through real quick and show you. So usually we start with a 3% global circumference, move into our patella tendon area. From there, we'll then go into our fib head, tibial crest, distal tibia, and we'll pull out our shelf, which normally this is how it'll be. Pull it out just a tad bit. Then we'll go down to our trim line and finish that off right there, which then we'll export our files into a patient folder. From there, we'll bring up our design tab, which you can see our second screen here. This is a undesigned modified scan right here. As you can see, we take a couple of steps to get to where we need to be over here. Sometimes with a highly active patient or a patient that's exceeding around 200 to 220 pounds, we'll actually add in a little bit of distal reinforcement with 8 struts at the bottom going into the distal area, which doesn't cause any discomfort. Actually is a nice little strength for the socket in general. From there, we'll then slice in our software so we can put it onto the printers. And then after printing, we'll come out with this product right here.
So is this procedure done at every practice location?
Yes, it is. It is done across 48 of our clinics that we have in about 12 states? 15 states. So I'm gonna pass it on over to Tony now.
Okay.
Okay, so these are our toys. We have 5 different high flow printers and a standard flow printer. Now, the difference between standard flow and high flow, when we're printing with a standard flow printer, which we have going in right here, we can get a lot more detail. And what it does is it prints an outer layer of a certain thickness, and then we have like a honeycomb structure between it, and then there's an outer layer as well that kind of solidifies the object. That's more of a standard 3D printed device, and this is what a 3D printed on a standard flow socket would look like. It's a bit more brittle. Some of the edges can break because we have poor adhesion sometimes, but this was our start. Now that we've transitioned over to these 5 machines right here, I'll open one of them up and see it goes. This is a high flow printer. So when we're printing here, we're printing one solid layer. So this material is Vivac or PETG. So when we're finished with this, there's no lattice structure between it. It's one solid piece of PETG which has really adapted well into our clinical experience because PETG is a material that we're used to working with every day. It heats up like PETG, it grinds like PETG. You can make adjustments on it like PETG. It has all the properties of a PETG socket. Additionally, we're able to print out of a few other materials as well.
We're having
This is
trouble
a
hearing you.
co-poly material, same
can you close
properties as co-poly, where we can heat it up the same way, we can modify it the same way, we can grind it. And I'm gonna come in really close to the edge right here. I'm not sure if you'll be able to see it, but this is a solid piece of co-poly right here after it comes off the high flow printer. Additionally, we're able to print out of flexible materials as well. I would say that the plastic resulting from this is very similar to like a ProFlex with silicone. We had a lot of great durability with this on a patient. I just had a patient come into the clinic who's been using her 3D printed flexible liner for 1.5 years. No discolorations, no breakdown, no tears. And she's a patient that walks a couple million miles a year. So she's doing great. Now, for seeing through the PETG socket, they are transparent, not as transparent as a traditional PETG socket, but good enough for our clinicians to get the results they want. Are there any questions on the printing lab right now, or are we holding questions till the end?
No, generally, one of the things we'd like to know is what is the primary focus of each practice?
Okay, so all of our practices have a different flavor, but I would say across all of Bionic, we are probably a 70% prosthetic practice and a 30% orthotic practice. Now,
Okay,
some of our prosthetic practices see a variety of patients from younger active adults to more of a geriatric patient. Some of our clinics have a very heavy pediatric population, both with orthotics and prosthetics. And then some of our other clinics have a very heavy cranial remotely helmet population.
okay. Now, are most of the practices, you said there are 50 practice locations, are most of those in eastern states, eastern and Midwest? I don't think you have any on the West Coast, do you?
We do not have any practices on the West Coast right now. We are, we're as far west as, I guess, Illinois is as far west as we are. Oh, Texas? So we have Texas, Illinois, and Wisconsin, the farthest west that we are.
Okay, so where are the primary, is there a state or two that has more practices than the others? Like, instead of having one, they have 2 or 3 or 5?
So Indiana is our largest. Indiana and Illinois both have 6 practices in the state.
Okay, okay,
Illinois is all centered around Chicago. Indiana is centered in northern Indiana, and then 1 in central India, 2 in central Indiana. And then another big pocket we have is Florida and North Carolina.
okay.
Now, go ahead.
Well, I was just wondering, are there, at each of the practices, and I know you have different focus at each one, but do you have a certain number of practitioners there of CPOs or prosthetists, orthotists? Number of technicians at each one is a standard number, or is it vary depending on the practice?
It varies depending on the practice, but I would say that all of our practices average about two CPs or CPOs or COs, as well as some of our practice groups like in the Indiana and Illinois and Ohio region additionally have clinical assistants or fitters as well within the practice.
Do you have residents at the practices?
We do, yeah. We have 7 residents currently in Bionic,
Okay.
kind of out throughout the United States.
Okay. You're going to do a tour of your practice there where you are now?
Yeah, we're gonna do a tour of our central lab, show you some of our fabrication facilities, and then go a little bit more in depth on some of the opportunities at Bionic and answer some of the questions that are gonna continue to rise up. So
That'll
we're
be
gonna
swell. That'll be
leave the
swell.
lab.
Sounds like your dog wants to enjoy the tour.
So here we've entered our lamination area, pretty well spread out, pretty well ventilated. We have 4 different lamination stations on this side. Nice Fumex machine, a centralized vacuum here for the lamination as well, keeps it pretty quiet. And the Fumex keeps it pretty clean smelling as well. Gonna walk over to more of our thermal forming and second set of lamination stations. Because we utilize so much printing, we really only need 2 ovens going at any time. We have a standard convection oven that we primarily use for foams and diagnostic sockets. And then we have a larger PDQ oven, which we utilize for more of the orthotics or larger plastic pieces that we need to pull. These also are our thermal forming stations where we can thermoform bubble form diagnostic sockets or flexible inners, as well as we have the standard orthotic thermoforming as well. The pipe bicycle.
So, Tony, how many fabrication sites does Bionic have and where are they located?
So primarily we have 2 major fabrication sites. We do fabrication in Maryville, Indiana, and we additionally do fabrication in Winston-Salem, North Carolina. Some of our other clinics, like Cincinnati and Owensboro, Kentucky, and Daytona Beach, Florida, do have small fabrication centers with a technician there. But most of our fabrication is going to occur at Winston-Salem, North Carolina, as well as Maryville, Indiana.
Okay, thanks.
You're welcome. And then I'll show you guys the machine room real quick, and then we're gonna take it up front. So here's our machine room. Like to keep these nice and clean and separated, keep the dust down. There's Jessica grinding away at a soldering. So lots of trout pins, some shoe machines, all the good stuff. Okay, well, we're gonna take it more up front and answer some of your guys' questions beyond the fabrication facilities and see what we can have to help you guys. So I'll be joining here in just a minute.
Well, in the meantime, while they get sorted, if anyone has any questions, we can take them down in the chat. That way we have a little bit more time to think.
Jason, do you have a map that shows where the practices are located?
Yes, I do. Let me share my screen for one moment.
That would be great.
I'll bring that up. There's a bit of a delay on the slides here. So this one shows all of our practices laid out on the map.
Can you make that a little bit bigger?
Unfortunately not, but if you go to our website, you'll be able to see it all there as well, bionicpo.com.
So I was just looking at the practices in Texas. One must be in Dallas, maybe?
We have one just outside of Dallas, one in San Antonio, and one in Laredo.
Laredo.
Yes.
Interesting.
And our San Antonio practice does a fair amount of fabrication as well. I left that one out accidentally.
So I see in the chat here, we've got what degree is additive printing utilized in orthotics?
So we are starting to utilize that more and more within our practice. With our high flow machines, we can print solid ankle AFOs. We can print molded inner boots, and we can print TLSOs as well. We're utilizing TLSOs probably most out of everything right now across the practice. So I'm going to go through some of the questions that you guys have for us kind of preloaded so we can kind of get some of those answers for you. So currently across our whole practice, we have about 60 practitioners or practitioner assistants across all locations, as well as a team of 7 technicians up here in the Maryville Central Fabrication. And then we have an additional 4 technicians in our North Carolina Central Fabrication. Some of our smaller clinics like Owensboro, Cincinnati, and Daytona Beach all have 1 technician located in that practice. And then San Antonio has 3 or 4 technicians located in their practice. As for the style of technicians, we have a mixture of certified and non-certified technicians. Obviously, certification is a great pathway. But we found that you know, having the right personality, work ethic, mentality and understanding is what makes a great team member. So, you know, we're looking to build a team member always.
Could you describe that? What factors into that? Great personality, right attitude, et cetera.
Yeah, it's coming with a willingness to learn every day, to understand that there's multiple ways to solve a problem, to embrace the experience of other technicians and clinicians on the team. As well as, you know, coming with the right positive attitude every day, you know, and when that comes into it, you know, we definitely see our not just our technical staff, all sides of our staff really start to excel and grow within our practice.
Are certified techs paid higher than non-certified?
A little bit, yeah. I don't have all that data right in front of me, but yeah, the certified techs are paid higher.
Does the company provide for the cost for certification?
Not for technicians, no. For some of our residents, yes, we'll pay for some of the certification costs. And usually within our group, any paid courses or costs come with a promissory note with a minimum time of service requirement to be able to complete that.
So if I was there 3 years and I wanted to get certified, then Bionic would help pay for that? Is that what you're saying?
We haven't had any of our current techs take that transition to become a certified tech. So I can't answer that. We haven't had that yet, so I can't give you a straight answer.
So it's an open option though, it sounds like,
Yeah,
possibilities.
Yeah, for the right person and the right motivation, there's always an option.
All right, that's good. There's another question for new staff members. Does Bionic provide an orientation program included for new grads?
No, we just throw you into the deep end. No, yeah.
We've heard that about Bionic, but we weren't going to press you on it.
So we do provide an orientation program. We help everyone get up to speed over time. But we also, you know, we believe that people should be in there working and struggling and making mistakes. That's when learning takes place. You know, not all of us come in and are perfect in everything we do. So we are gonna push people. We are gonna help them come along. We are gonna, you know, people will probably feel a bit overwhelmed in the beginning at times because we just want to help you develop into the talent that we see there.
So are there openings now for technicians? I understood from Mike, that there were some openings in the Bionic practices now for technicians.
Right. I would say our openings right now are primarily in here in Maryville and Winston-Salem. Those are the two locations where we have openings right now.
And that's where you do most of the fabrication work, right?
Yeah. So Maryville is a 90% prosthetic fabrication facility, and Winston-Salem is a 90% orthotic fabrication facility.
Okay, thank you. What would you say, Tony, are the positive aspects for a technician? What are the positive aspects of working at Bionic P&O?
I think our practice does a great job of having a strong commitment to technology and integrating the technicians with the clinicians. All of our technicians have the ability to be a part of the patient experience at times, to really understand the needs of the patient. An additional benefit of our technicians is we don't operate it as an assembly line practice. We tend to operate as a start to finish practice. So we want to get all of our, all of our technicians elevated in their experience enough to be able to take any project from, initial conception to the finalized delivery of it, whether that's a diagnostic socket, a 3D printed socket, or a lamination or a complex lamination with maybe Revo dials or a complex upper extremity fabrication part. And we always have clinicians available locally at the fabrication centers to direct that fabrication as well. So we don't leave people out on an island that way.
So from what you said, do the technicians then sometimes see the patients with the clinician?
In complex cases, yeah, if they need to kind of come in and see what's going on and get a better idea of how to build something and support it, we definitely support that. And sometimes for even more of those complex cases, we'll have the patients come over to our fabrication center so we can start the process there and really communicate exactly what's needed with our technical staff.
Okay, great. What about the benefits and the financial? Give us a range range on what a new grad would start salary wise, ballpark range? Per
Yeah,
hour.
Miguel's our fabrication manager. What is a new tech starting salary range? Probably in that $15 to $17 an hour range based on previous level of experience. We we offer, full benefits after 90 days, including vacation, sick time, 401k, medical, dental, vision, short-term disability as well.
Okay, so are the healthcare benefits for just the technician, or does it cover family members?
It covers family members as well. Bionic's policy is we pay half of the employee's cost, but we're not able to cover the family's cost.
Okay, 15 to 17 an hour is your starting salary for a new grad.
Yes.
Okay, you're a little bit behind most of the other programs we've talked with. There's usually at 20 to 25 is what we're seeing.
Okay. Thank you for the market information.
All right. Do you have a tuition reimbursement program?
We do not.
Is that something that might be started at Bionic?
Everything's a possibility. It's just a matter of seeing where our practice takes us.
So how much influence do you have over management, Tony?
I'm one of the directors at our company, so
So if you can influence the other people to maybe start some of these things?
we could, yeah. It's always an open discussion with the whole team. So
All right.
we're always looking to best provide an environment for our employees to grow in.
Let's say somebody from Spokane Falls Community College in Spokane, Washington, which is on the eastern side of Washington State, is wanting to interview with you. Do you do a Zoom interview first?
Yeah. We could do a Zoom interview. We're pretty tech savvy here, so we can take care of a lot of stuff, remotely to prevent any unneeded travel or anything.
So then if the person seems like they'd be a good fit, would you bring them there for an interview then?
We haven't had any technicians join us non-locally yet. We have done that for clinicians, so I think it's something that could be discussed. Yes.
Okay. Is the relocation expense provided for technicians? You hire somebody from Spokane?
Yeah, something open for discussion. I know we do that for clinicians at times. But we haven't had that come up on the technical side. So, all these things are always open to discussion within our group.
Okay. Can you tell us a little bit about Merrillville and what do I do there if I'm a tech on the evenings or weekends when I'm not working? What's exciting in Merrillville?
Yeah, Merrillville's a nice sized town with a lot of other smaller towns around it. There's any restaurant you could dream of in the world is here locally. Lots of movie theaters. There's a couple of local minor league baseball teams that you can go and visit. There's a phenomenal state parks in the area. We're just a few minute drive from the Indiana Dunes National Lakeshore, which is a great area. It's like having a little ocean in our backyard. We're so close to Michigan City, or Michigan, Lake Michigan. It's amazing. Great, wonderful nature life out there. And then Merrillville is a 40-minute drive to downtown Chicago. And there's also public train transportation as well. So, you can kind of have the city life without having to live in the city, and then kind of have the nice, small town Indiana vibe as well. And our taxes are great. You move to Indiana, if you live just 20 minutes away on the Illinois border, you pay 5 times as much in property taxes. So
What's the population of Merrillville?
Merrillville, this whole metro is probably over 100,000 people, 200,000 people, somewhere in that range. It's pretty densely populated here. We this whole area was founded around Gary, Indiana, and the steel mills. So there's a large population that has grown out from Gary, kind of towards more and more outside of that area. So probably in this Northwest Indiana area, we are, I don't know, it's probably an hour radius from the Illinois-Chicago border. Is fairly densely populated with a lot of activities.
Okay, what about Winston-Salem?
I'm just getting to know that area. Winston-Salem is a nice town. I've been traveling there for the last 3 months. You do have a couple of large universities there, some nice big medical research campuses as well. Seems to be a lot of nice things to do in that area. I haven't gone and ventured out too much there yet. But you're an hour's drive from Charlotte. You're an hour's drive from some of the more rural, hilly areas of North Carolina as well. But yeah, Winston-Salem is a nice medium-sized town with a nice little downtown area as well. I can't really comment on the cost of living in North Carolina. I just don't know enough about that area yet.
Okay. Anything else you want to tell us about the positive aspects of working at Bionic?
Yeah, I think one thing that we've noticed and come along in our growth at Bionic is, we provide a nice, wonderful opportunity for anyone to grow with us. We're focused on people, positivity, and patient outcomes. So what that does is we hold our techs, our clinical staff, our administrative staff to the highest level. We want them to succeed. We want them to grow as individuals within our practice, grow financially within our practice, and be a vital part of the patient care team. With that being said, I know that we are one of the leaders in the world in FDM printing and manufacturing, and we're continually working towards expanding our role into the additive manufacturing workforce. I know a lot of people, even some of our team in the room was worried when we started utilizing printing so much, but utilizing printing in a diagnostic workflow has been great for our technical team. It's allowed them all to grow and focus more on those complex fabrication cases, as opposed to having to worry about getting 5 or 6 check sockets done amidst 5 or 6 laminations in a day. So I would say having some of this workflow automation has been a great positive change to the work-life balance for our fabrication team, as well as their overall productivity and expertise in their craft.
You said that you want to have your staff there grow as they're working with Bionic. Grow and learn, right?
Yes.
So does that mean that you then would reimburse technicians to go for continuing education?
Yeah. There are opportunities for reimbursement for continuing education constantly. And we do have continuing education with multiple manufacturers, either on site at some of our facilities or available via Zoom. So we do that. We have what's called a First Friday session every month. We have a different manufacturer, technology, process presentation for our whole practice to be a part of.
And that's once a week, right? Is that what you said?
The first Friday of every month.
Oh,
We have
once a
that
month,
guaranteed,
okay.
but then we also have multiple ones that'll pop up intermittently.
All right. And one other question, did you mention, is there a 401k or any kind of savings involved with as a benefit?
Yeah, there is a 401k plan with Bionic.
Okay.
With employer matching, I think it's 50% up to 6%.
Okay, great. Any suggestions or thoughts that you would have for the tech students that are listening to help them have a good interview? Or
yeah, come in with an open mind. There's a lot of very experienced technicians and fabricators out there from all different generations that can teach you so much information. When I'm teaching my new clinical staff or technical staff, I'm teaching them my current recipe. And one of my rules is I have already learned every single wrong way to do it up until this point. This is my current best recipe. And all I want my team to do is take that best recipe and grow along with it. Don't be afraid to make mistakes. Don't hide your mistakes. Ask lots of questions. This is, and I guess the number one thing I can say is you're not just building a piece of plastic or a piece of carbon. You're building a patient's ability to be mobile again, or to utilize their limb again, or to play with their kids again. So if you kind of take that pride in your work and know that, hey, what I'm doing is actually changing a life, and you buy into that aspect of it, it goes a long way.
all right, that's good information. And I think something that all of us can keep in mind. Are there any other questions or comments for Tony? Says there's one new message. Where is it? What an impressive lab. Great presentation. Thank you for showing us. Thanks, Ken. That's coming from Spokane Falls Community College.
Thanks.
Was an
guys.
impressive, was very impressive looking, Tony. How large is that facility? It looked huge.
Oh, I think our fabrication is 20,000 square feet.
Yeah, it looked really
It
big.
started as 2,000 square foot labs. So we've been in both sides of it. We started humbly, in the back room of an office, just like everyone else did. But our commitment to patient quality and care has helped us grow, and that's helped our team grow into some of these new spaces as well.
Okay, great. Anybody else have a question or comment? Anything else you want to say, Tony?
No, that's it. Hi, Desmond. You weren't one of my teachers, but I remember you from Northwestern.
Yeah, Desmond's in Joliet, so you have a practice location in Joliet, I believe, don't you?
Yeah, we do. We have a practice in Joliet, Bolingbrook, and Tinley Park are right over there.
Okay, great.
We used to take technicians in our Hazel Crest office, but that fab isn't operational anymore.
Okay, we appreciate very much this great view of Bionic. So we thank you for taking the time to talk to us and for showing us the Maryville facility and for sharing information about your other practice locations as well.
Great. Yeah, if there's any students that are interested in setting up an interview, we can go ahead and communicate through Jason or Mike, and we can set those next steps up.
We'll pass information along as we get it, okay?
Okay, thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
Take care.